Today's guest was in the Army for 26 years with multiple deployments, including a deployment in support of Operation Desert Storm. During his time in service, he was a combat medic and a recruiter and retired from active duty in 2016. He currently resides in Paducah, Kentucky, where on April 22, 2018, he founded Project Diehard, whose stated goal is to bring public awareness to veteran suicide and to assist veterans in coping with the stress and difficulties in transitioning from active duty military to civilian life. Today, we're chatting with Brian Gibson.
Okay, my name is Brian Gibson, Briangibson. I reside in Paducah, Kentucky. That's Western Kentucky. What do I do for fun? I ride my motorcycle, I go to my shop, and what do I do professionally? I'm a retired soldier. Did 26 years, 4 months and 18 days. I'm the founder and president of Project Diehard, a 501c3 organization here in Western Kentucky with the goals to bring public awareness to veteran suicide and then to help the veterans transition from active duty to civilian life. I enlisted in 1985 right out of high school, went to 91 Alpha School, combat medic, served up until Desert Storm, a break in service, came back in and then completed 26 years total. First deployment was into Operation Desert Storm. I was with Charlie Company, 1st Engineer Battalion, 1st Infantry Division. After that, I left, came back in. I deployed again to OIF-1. And then from there, to physical limitations, I was assigned to recruiting duty, where I was stationed in State College, Pennsylvania, then Watertown, New York, and then the final duty station for that, Paducah.
I grew up outside Philadelphia, little familiar with like the State College area. And then, so I was 1st ID, 1st Battalion, 126 Battalion, infantry. And I was stationed in Fort Knox, actually. They actually moved a 1st ID brigade to Fort Knox. So definitely familiar with that area of Kentucky, but I think Paducah was west of that, right?
Yep. We are in Western Kentucky. I got Illinois 4 miles from me, Missouri is 10 miles from me. It really, we're out here in the moons.
Yeah.
Again, this is why Project Diehard is here in Western Kentucky, because we are so good. If a veteran needs help, they got to go to Marion, St. Louis, Nashville. They got to drive an hour and a half in any direction.
Yeah. So, and then did you know you wanted to be a medic when you were coming in, or was that just more of like a...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Growing up, my sister died of leukemia, and growing up with the hospitals and the nurses and the medics and all that, that's all I ever wanted to be.
Yeah.
Now, I hold a couple other MOSs, 12 Bravo, 72 Yankee, 79 Romeo. When you do 26 years, you get a few MOSs.
Yeah. And so you went right into like a combat medic role, or did you kind of do more of the hospital stuff, or because I know there's so many different roles for
right out. I have always been a month-to-month medic. I got assigned to a hospital unit. I lasted about 6 weeks before I went to the sergeant major and said, transfer me or shoot me.
So you have like a lineage of people in the military in your family, I guess. Is that correct?
In my family, if you're a male and you are physically and mentally able to serve, you will serve at least one tour.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Okay, I can actually chase for the first ID. My grandfather served with the first ID World War II on Omaha, right? Lost a testicle
Holy
there.
shit.
So lucky here. My uncle served with the first ID in Vietnam. I served with the first ID in Desert Storm, and my son served with the first ID in OIF 3.
How did everybody get first ID?
Now, I don't know.
Yeah, just like chance, right?
Yeah, it's just like chance.
That's pretty crazy, actually. So you're out now. You've done 26 years, and you've started this organization, and you're active. I would assume pretty damn active in the veteran community and stuff. So, do you mind
Trying to be?
Yeah, I mean it's tough. I mean with time and all that. You mind diving into like kind of what your organization does and just what you kind of do with vets in general?
Well, as is in our mission statement, one is bring public awareness to veteran suicide. The 22 a day, I hate to say that number is shot because of COVID, we have a huge spike in that number. The other thing is to help veterans transition back to civilian life. How do we do that? Well, for years we've been trying to raise funds, land to establish Fort Hope, a place where we want to house up to 100 veterans for a year. Teach them a trade, give them a purpose. Just last week, the Lord has blessed us because we have a nonprofit right up the road, 40 miles away, that is donating 20 acres and buildings to us. It's not for hope. We're not going to be able to house 100, but it's a start.
And you said that so you'll help veterans with. So what's the land going to be used for?
We're going to house them for up to a year. We already have a counseling service going with us and provide counseling. We got trade people that will come out and teach veterans trades, whether it be electrical, plumbing, heating. I have equine therapy. That person owns 3 horses. And just by chance on this land, there's a corral and a barn for 3 horses. Okay, so yeah, it's that. We want to give them a safe, secure place to get back on their feet. I've gotten calls in the past of veterans living in cars with their families. There's just something wrong with that.
Yeah. Is it like a plot of open field with a couple structures, or is there actually a place for or is there actual structures and stuff for people to kind of sleep at night and stuff like that? I'm assuming.
There's we got an 8,000 foot square building.
Whoa.
Okay. It was a Christian daycare for 30 years.
Whoa. And just kind of like a big open area.
It's going to need some work, okay? Let's be honest. It hasn't been used in 5 years.
Yeah.
So we got some mold in there. We got, we're going to have to do it. We're going to have to go in and do it. But this is where I need my brothers and sisters, and I hate to ask, because we've given so much, but we need patrons. We need $22 a month to come rolling in so we can build up that war chest, to retro the building, to build other housing pods, to get this up and running.
And so I guess it's primarily aimed at helping people in that Western Kentucky area, since they live close to that. Or are you still kind of like outreaching to other states or something like that?
Well, our plan is to put one of these in every state.
Yeah.
And yes, I have other veteran networks that we network with. I just had a meeting this morning with a nonprofit out in Texas that handles abused women. They're not specifically, but they're for using. So part of that discussion was, yes, we're going to take veterans, male, female. There may be a female veteran that's not comfortable with, men in the area. So we're starting talks of, okay, we send them out to them.
Yeah.
They may have a female veteran that's comfortable around men, right? And just needs that little hand up. Well, they'll send her to us. This is working together. This is the biggest thing I've been trying to put out to all the other veteran nonprofits, that if we work together, imagine what we could do. And it's not just, it's networking, because we're not going to be able to offer everything.
So I want to change it up a little bit to maybe get a couple deployment stories from you. And that, as I said before, it could be anything. It could be, I feel like most
you want happy, or you want sad, or you want both?
Let's get both.
Okay, let's talk about my PTSD. Let's see, Highway of Death, Desert Storm, right? Oh, I was assigned to the first engineers. Our job there was to dig deep trenches and put all the bodies in them. Okay, you think that was a good thing to see? No, it wasn't.
And we're speaking primarily about, Iraqis or no? Or Kuwaitis?
Yeah, Iraqis.
Yeah.
In Kuwait.
Yeah.
Actually, we GPS marked them, and when I went back because I got that dubious honor of invading the same country twice.
Right.
When we went back, I actually went to those sites, and you know what? The Iraqis never came and got their bodies. They were still there. Desert Storm, I was a young kid, right? My last time I was an NCF. So there's two different narratives there. As a young kid, I'm going, oh my God, we're going to war. Third time around, it's okay. Been there, done that, and it's got to happen. Now I got to take care of my young soldiers that are going with me, that this is their first time. Okay, it's really hard for me to relate back. I mean, when you go to war, war is war. It's the worst thing man can do to man. Okay, as a kid, here I am. I got a young wife. My daughter at the time was 4 months old, and we get orders to go to war. Okay, I'm a soldier. That's part of the gig. I deploy over. We sit in Saudi, and then we move north and set up this little things, and we sat there for months.
Did you
waiting for the air war to finish?
Did you take a civilian aircraft over, or was that like a C-17 from United States to overseas?
Desert Storm, that we took a civilian flight. We painted up all of our vehicles, that was quite funny, because we're painting all of our vehicles the desert tan before we put them on the boat. And the guys painting it on my medic track, they were like, Parker, we got to paint that red. I said, don't you dare. Well, we have to mark it. I said, yeah, but you ain't got to paint it red. I really don't want them zeroing their weapons on me.
Right.
But yeah, then we got over. We had it in the desert for months and months and months, train. Then we breached the berm, and away we went. That Iraqi general goes, nobody comes from there. Well, we did. Because first he took that northern route.
You and the unit collected and you said, did you say Saudi Arabia?
Desert Storm, that's where we staged.
Okay, staged. That's the word I was looking for.
Yeah. We staged there before we broke the berm into Iraq.
So you stage there, you train, you sweat. Did you have any idea of when the actual push would take place? I guess there's a lot of questions around that. Like, what was going through everyone's heads when they were just kind of staging there?
Everybody was like, we didn't have the internet and all that back then. We had little radios we picked up the BBC with, and it was all speculation on when we were going to go. We knew we were going. It's just a matter of when. Even when the air war kicked off, they were trying to get them done just by bombing them. Well, you and I know you can bomb somebody all you want, but until you go in there and put your feet on the ground, it's not yours.
And then that day comes when they say, we're moving in. What was that like? And then what was the process of actually moving? And I guess you guys were in Humvees, or how was that?
We had 113s, armor personnel carriers. We had 113s because we were an engineer unit. We had the aces and bulldozers and all that. We were an armored engineer unit. My unit actually breached the big berm and banged over the concertina wire and cleared the minefield to get the troops through. Took a couple wounded doing that.
How did you clear? So is there like a mine? So I know when I was deployed, we had we called it the mine roller. That was for IEDs, but I think it's different. I think it had to have been different in Iraq because, it's not just this singular IED planet. There's probably some areas that are just completely mined. So,
well, they had the big berm, right? That berm must have been 40 foot tall, right on the border between Iraq and Saudi Arabia. Behind that berm going into Iraq, there was a concertina fence, right? And then behind that was a minefield, anti-tank mines, anti-personnel mines that ran across where we were going.
How did you destroy the mines? Did you roll them? Did you roll over them with something? Did you just
mine detector?
So out on foot.
Walked out, identified them, and disarmed them if we could. If not, we set up a ring main and blew them in place.
I would fucking hate that. That would bother me. I was good at some stuff, but that would fucking bother me a lot. I'd always be afraid I was missing the mines, I would be so neurotic about it.
Well, the first thing we did, we'd shoot a MIC-LIC over. That line charge.
Okay.
Right? And boom. Well, okay, great. Well, that's good for an expedient, but if you need to clear a purposeful lane, you got to get out there with a mine detector and a little plastic poker and find what's left.
Yeah. Okay, so that's the initial. I think that's the initial process, right? You guys get the word, you move in, you do some mine clearing.
We breached the obstacles. That was the engineer's job, breaching obstacles, right?
Okay.
My unit breached the obstacles, made a lane. Then all the heavy armor, the M1s went through. Okay, and then we followed behind them. Okay,
And did you use some of the infrastructure already there, like some of their roads, or did you just kind of?
We didn't have any roads where we went through. Dude, we were up in the northern desert.
Yeah.
We had GPS about the size of a loaf of bread. Okay, it just came out, and the Iraqis even said nobody comes from there. Because of GPS, we could. So there were no roads for us. It was all desert.
That's pretty badass. It reminds me of the Germans invading France in World War II when they went through that damn forest. I forget the name of it, but the French never thought that that forest could be breached because it's just such thick, dense woods. Mm-hmm. And the Germans were all hopped up on meth, and they were just so creative with their tactics that they got through like 3 days and just fucked France. It's like,
there's this dude. When I was over in Germany, I was with the 2nd Armored Cavalry Regiment. You were up in the middle of the Fulda Gap. Ever heard of that? You're up in the Fulda Gap, and you're over in Russia, and you want to invade the West. That's where you come through.
So did you? So. You go through this route that was essentially, it was considered to be, almost impossible. What were the impressions of, like, the enemy, of people that knew that you went through this path that was considered to be impossible? Were they just like, holy shit? Or like...
That's about it.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't personally talk to any of them.
Yeah.
Right. But after it was all over, I guess all the intel guys, all the Iraqis are going, nobody comes through there. That's a dead zone.
So once you actually get through that area, then how does what happens with your role, and what was the unit doing? What were you doing?
Well, when we did all the fighting, and then the Air Force went down and bombed the retreat out of Kuwait, right? We moved up to that, I think it was Highway 1, to that highway. We secured the flank, then we moved up to the highway, and being the engineer unit with the assets to dig deep holes, we dug deep holes, and then we went around and collected all the dead bodies, and we put them in the holes.
What was the ultimate goal for that? Was it because, was it an emotional, morale, or a ethical thing? Was it because, the bodies actually created like a functional problem? Like maybe they're actually in the way of things. I mean, what was the ultimate goal?
Dead bodies all throughout history on battlefields. Dead bodies are disease. They attract disease. They decompose. It's health and stuff. And also it's, you just don't need dead bodies laying around.
Right. And it's not like people who have suffocated, like some of these are probably some gruesome injuries and body parts.
Yeah. So, and bomb.
Right. I mean,
the crispy critter ones were the worst that you had to pull out of the tanks.
And then there's probably even some that were there for, a little while, and they probably were super, deteriorated and stuff. So what was that like as a kid, dealing with this type of thing?
Looking back at it, right, I'll be honest, I didn't pay no mind. I just did the job.
Yeah.
It was a little gruesome, but as a kid in the Army, right, that's part of the job after you get done kicking somebody's butt. You got to clean up the mess. Now, years later, that affected me, but at the time it was okay.
So we're at an hour 24 minutes, it looks like, or an hour 20 minutes, and I don't want to take any more of your time. So once again, you want to give a shout out to your initiative and what you got going on. And
okay, here's my shout out, because I know most of the brothers and sisters will be listening to this podcast, right? Brothers and sisters, I hate that. I need your help. Doc needs your help. Please go to projectdiehard.org, and whether you become a patron or a one-time donation, help me get Project Diehard up and running, to build Fort Hope, to build the FOBs. I can't do it alone. I need your help. Project Diehard 22 on Facebook, like and share us.
I think the reason why your method is great is because it is longer term, and it's great to have a community of people you could see every Friday or something like that. But it's another thing to give someone a foundation.
But yeah, brother, peace be with you, and hope the blessings come upon you. And the faster we get our name out there, the faster we're going to find the support to get this done.
Yeah, same to you. Thank you so much for doing this. I'll definitely keep in touch with you. And it was awesome.
Yeah, now I got to go and go to another meeting.
There you go. Thanks so much, man.
All right, brother. Have a good one.
You too. If you'd like to see more information about Project Diehard, or would like to donate, please visit their website at projectdiehard.org. Their website is also linked in the episode section of our website, intheaterpodcast.com. Also, if you're digging this podcast and want to help out, rate and subscribe to it. If you're interested in telling some of your own deployment stories, you can reach out to me at intheaterpodcast@gmail.com, or go to the website and fill out the short form in the Schedule a Chat section. We're also on Facebook and Instagram if you search for In Theater Podcast, where I post pictures of our guests and their experiences. Thanks for checking out the podcast. Stay chaotic, and I'll see you next time.